Hello. Have you ever said to yourself, wow, I could really use just one more day off? If you have, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are feeling the same exact way. And in today's, unfortunately, fast paced work life, we are stretched thin, we're constantly hustling, and we're more burnt out than ever before. These long hours, the minimal breaks, the constant deadlines, and the glorification that we need to stay busy is leading us on a path of stress and constant dissatisfaction. And we've become so burnt out in our lives that it feels normal to many of us. Most Americans are clocking in 40 plus hours a week and more. Um, and often we don't have much time for rest or personal time, and it leads to an unbalanced life. We're not being as healthy as we can be, especially physically and mentally. We are developing signs of chronic stress and anxiety, as well as more severe things such as depression and heart disease from constantly going and never getting a break. And the truth is, being overworked doesn't mean better performance for us. It simply just means that we're having less and less time for the things that truly matter. And what we need is a shift. We need a chance to take back our time, and our health and our happiness. And so, what does that mean? What is that shift? That is going to be a 4-day work week. That's what we need. And let's break it down. So, according to Zara Abrams of the American Psychological Association, it was reported that about 80% of Americans believe that it would be just effective for them to work a 4-day work week than a 5-day work week. And she includes a great point that lawmakers such as Bernie Sanders, who fights for reducing the work week, which I believe was 32 hours, which is what he wants to switch to. He argues that it would benefit us today because we're moving into a more technological, progressive era. And from a business standpoint, that makes sense to him, but how can we apply that to us? So what does that mean? That means fewer hours. That means that we're more employee focused. We're focused on the employee's needs, okay? And we also skip the unnecessary meetings. There's a lot of individuals who went to remote or hybrid work spaces. And so you skip all that unneeded, unnecessary workplace environments. In fact, there was another trial done in Boston where in the end about 10 to 15% of participants said that they wouldn't take an increase in pay, and they'd rather just stay the 4-day work week than even go back to the 5. So again, 80% there, that's huge. And now we're going into the Economic Forum. There's a senior writer, his name is Douglas Forum, and he wrote a piece about work-life balance in Spain. And the impact it had was on about 400,000 individuals. And in the end of that, at the end of that 4-day work week and then transitioning into the weekend, a lot of individuals had more time for things like sports, cooking, family. They felt less tired, less stressed, and more fulfilled. And by the time that they came back to work, they felt refreshed to finish that week off and have a good week. Even if it didn't mean pouring in so much time into the day, they could just do it and they felt better about it. And one of the fun facts that I learned too was that because there wasn't as many people commuting to work, they actually had lower pollution levels as well. So not only did it better their lives, it bettered the planet. And so I just want to stop here and have you guys just visualize something for yourselves. And I want you to picture waking up on your new day off, whether it be a Friday to a Sunday or a Saturday to a Monday, and think to yourself, what would you do on that day off, right? I know what I would do for sure, but maybe you'd be doing that hike you've been talking about for months. Maybe you would sleep in, get that sleep that you've been so longing for. Or maybe you just spend the day with your kids and, finally take care of that task that's been bugging you and you actually had the time to do it. And so now that you're feeling refreshed and everything, it seems like this fantasy, like, oh, at the end of these trials, I have to go back to this 5-day week and you're getting all anxious. That doesn't have to be just a fantasy. that's something for all of us to do. So what can we do? What we can do is we can start a conversation. We can talk to our employers. We can talk to our coworkers. We can advocate for flexibility. And we can also support the legislation, such as Bernie Sanders when he proposed the bill for a 32-hour work week. I'd like to also bring in this trial from the UK Research and Innovation. There was a professor here, Brendan Burchell, and I cannot recall the other one right now. But they had 61 companies participate across the UK with this trial, and more than half, I believe it was 90% of participants said that they would not go back to the 4-day work week, all because their stress levels went down, their burnout completely dropped, their mental and physical well-being is completely improved. So with that said, I believe that we do have the power to reshape the life that we want to live, and we just need to fight for the joy and the balance and the freedom that we all deserve. A 4-day work week will not only boost our productivity, create a better work-life balance, but it also protects our mental and physical health, which reduces burnout in the end. So together, I think that we can make this shift happen by sticking up for what we know and benefits one another, and we can live a happier and healthier work life by switching to the 4-day work week. Thank you.